How starvation forced the first cat to us. The invisible thread. For every animal that has lived, survival has depended on a simple rule: finding enough food. No matter how strong, intelligent, or adaptable a species may be, life finally comes down to energy. Every day, animals spend it searching, hunting, escaping danger, raising young, and simply staying alive. To survive, they must replace what they use. When they cannot, hunger begins its quiet work. Almost 10,000 years ago, the world was entering a period of profound change. The huge ice sheets that had covered much of the planet for thousands of years were retreating. Forests shifted, grasslands expanded, rivers changed path. Entire ecosystems began reorganizing themselves. For many animals, familiar patterns disappeared. Migration routes became less reliable. Prey populations moved or declined. Places that had once provided predictable sources of food suddenly became uncertain. In this changing world, survival became more difficult. Among the many species facing these challenges was a small predator that would eventually become one of humanity's closest animal companions: the African wildcat. At first glance, it looked remarkably similar to many cats living today. It was a solitary hunter, moving quietly through the landscape with patience and precision. It did not rely on a pack. It did not seek cooperation. Its success came from stealth, sharp senses, and an ability to remain unseen. For millions of years, this strategy had worked exceptionally well. The wildcat avoided unnecessary risks. It kept its distance from larger animals. Solitude was not a disadvantage. It was a survival tool. But nature does not guarantee that what worked yesterday will work tomorrow. As environments changed and prey became harder to find, the balance began to shift. Small rodents and birds grew less predictable. Hunting required more time and more energy. Slowly, the cost of survival increased. Day after day, the pressure of hunger began to build. And under enough pressure, even deeply rooted instincts can begin to change. Many people imagine domestication as something humans actively created, as if our ancestors simply reached into the wild and transformed animals into companions. Yet the story of the cat may be far more unusual. The first step was not taken by humans. It was taken by a hungry predator willing to approach something it had spent its entire evolutionary history avoiding. The edge of the fire. To an ancient wildcat, humans were not friends. They were loud, unpredictable, and potentially dangerous. Our ancestors traveled in groups. They carried fire. They produced unfamiliar sounds and scents. Wherever they settled, they changed the surrounding environment. For a cautious hunter that relied on secrecy, human camps were places to avoid. Yet as food became scarcer across the landscape, those same camps began to offer something the wilderness could no longer guarantee: consistency. Humans left scraps behind. They disturbed the land. And wherever they remained for extended periods, small animals often followed. The first connection between cats and humans likely began at a distance. No hand reached out. No one offered food. Instead, a starving wildcat lingered near the edges of human activity. Imagine the scene. Beyond the glow of a campfire, hidden in darkness, a wildcat waits motionless among the brush. Its ears twitch at every sound. Its eyes remain fixed on the strange creatures gathered around the fire. Every instinct tells it to leave. Every instinct warns it to stay hidden. Yet hunger keeps it there. Night after night, generation after generation, some cats began testing the boundaries. They observed human routines. They learned when people slept. They learned which areas were safe to approach and which were not. Carefully, they moved closer, not because they trusted humans, because they needed food. This was the true beginning of the relationship. Not affection, not companionship, but necessity. A desperate predator chose the uncertainty of human proximity over the certainty of an increasingly difficult life in the wild. The accidental oasis. The event that changed everything was one of humanity's greatest innovations: agriculture. As people shifted from a nomadic lifestyle to settled farming, they transformed the way food was produced and stored. For the first time, large quantities of grain could be collected and kept in one place. This was a revolutionary achievement for humans, but it also created an entirely new ecological opportunity. To mice and rats, these early grain stores were paradise. Food was abundant. Shelter was plentiful. Predators were relatively scarce. Rodent populations expanded rapidly around human settlements, and wherever rodents gathered, predators soon followed. For a wildcat struggling to survive in an increasingly unpredictable landscape, a grain store was something extraordinary. It was not merely a building. It was a concentrated source of prey unlike anything nature normally provided. Within and around these structures lived countless mice and rats, creating a hunting ground that remained productive night after night. The cats did not come because they wanted companionship. They did not come seeking comfort. They followed the food. Human settlements had unintentionally created a hunting opportunity that was simply too valuable to ignore. Under cover of darkness, wildcats slipped into these early communities. They hunted rodents among the grain stores and then disappeared again before dawn. Many humans probably never saw them, yet the effect was impossible to miss. As cats hunted, rodent populations declined. Grain losses decreased. The settlements benefited, even if no one fully understood why. In a world shaped by scarcity, humans had unknowingly created an oasis. And for the wildcat, it changed everything. What began as occasional visits slowly became a more permanent presence. A species that had once avoided humans whenever possible was now building its future alongside them. The choice to stay. Today, when a cat sits quietly near a window or stares into a dark corner of the room, you're looking at an animal that still carries much of its ancient heritage. Beneath the comfort of modern life remains the mind of a hunter. The instincts that guided the first wildcats through forests, grasslands, and deserts have never completely disappeared. That is part of what makes cats so fascinating. They live in our homes, yet they still seem connected to another world. A world older than cities, older than agriculture, older than civilization itself. Their presence is a reminder of a remarkable chapter in history. A time when climates changed, food became scarce, and survival demanded new choices. Hunger may have been the force that first drew wildcats toward human settlements. But hunger alone cannot explain what followed. Over thousands of years, a relationship developed that neither species could have predicted. Humans offered opportunity. Cats offer their skills. The bond between humans and animals is filled with stories like this. Quiet turning points that change the course of history without anyone realizing it at the time. If you enjoy exploring the hidden psychology and ancient history behind the animals we know today, consider subscribing to Stone Age Whisker. And before you go, leave a comment below. What behavior does your cat show that reminds you they still carry a little piece of the wild inside them? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.